Hello friends, how are you all? Myself Dr. Veena Sakardande here with new topic today from nursing education. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe and comment down below. Do not forget to click on the bell icon so you will get new updates of my sessions. So let us start with the topic. Hello friends. So today we will see part 2 from disease condition or emergency disease condition, that is shock. So last session we have seen about the part 1, which included definition of shock, types of shock, common signs and symptoms of the shock, pathophysiology and general diagnostic assessment. So let us start with the today's topic, part 2, shock. So here already we have seen the classification. So there will be main 5 types of shock: hypovolemic shock, cardiogenic shock, neurologic shock, anaphylactic shock and septic shock. So these part 2 we will see some types of shock and its management, and then part 4 rest of the types of shock and their management, and next part, that is a part 4, we will see specifically nursing management for the patient with shock. So, what are the common clinical manifestations of shock? So, when we see the type of shock, some of the signs and symptoms will be differ. But here we are going to see the common signs and symptoms in general, what can be seen in the patient with shock. So, there will be a generalized fatigue. Patient will be having generalized fatigue, lethargy. Patient will be having weakness. Then patient will come with the headache, maybe because of pain, then decreased circulatory volume. So headache, profuse sweating ultimately increase in BMR, basal metabolic rate. There is involvement of vital organs, specifically heart, and then disturbances with the BMR leads to profuse sweating. Then patient will have fast, or we can say fast and shallow breathing pattern. Will be patient will be very breathless, gasping for the breath. So there is a hypoxia, as because of that patient may have breathlessness. Tachycardia, that is increased pulse rate more than 100, and more than that also, because heart has to compensate everywhere to supply blood, but when there is a insufficient circulation to the heart and heart cannot compensate and heart has to pump more and more, leads to tachycardia. Then oliguria or anuria. What is oliguria? Oliguria is decreased urine output. As we can say 30 to 40 ml per hour. There is a normal urine output, but it will be less than that. Anuria is absence of urine output because kidney is not functioning normally. Next is a nausea. Patient may have a feeling of nausea, dizziness. Then patient may have a cold and clammy extremity, or because of decreased circulation, blood circulation to the periphery, patient may have cold and clammy skin, pale skin. Again, pale skin, why there will be pale skin? Because of decreased oxygenated blood circulation. Then confusion, as involvement of neurological system, patient may be confused. Weakness, generalized weakness, patient may have blue lips and fingernails because of lack of oxygenated blood to the periphery, and loss of consciousness. Patient will have a loss of consciousness. These are the general signs and symptoms or clinical manifestations of shock in general. So next, what are the common diagnostic assessment for shock? Any shock in general, what are the common diagnostic assessment? So first will be, we have to assess the patient, assessment of the patient, head to toe examination, that is physical examination. Then specifically we assess the vital organs: heart, lungs, brain, kidney, liver. So assessment of these function or vital organs. Next, electrocardiogram, that is ECG. Commonly we can reveal any abnormality or dysarrhythmia or disturbed ECG pattern which indicate the any abnormal functioning of the heart. X-ray will reveal the whether there is any complication of lungs or any problem with the pleura, or there is pleural effusion or any necrosis inside, any infection. So X-ray of particular part, basically chest X-ray we can have or related part. Ultrasonography, mainly ultrasonography of abdomen, commonly when there is a problem with the kidney, liver or intestine, to reveal that. Then CT scan, MRI depend on the patient's condition, types of shock. CT scan or MRI which will help to reveal the exact cause of shock, exact reason of shock. Next, tilt table test, mainly basically it is done for the patient to assess the blood pressure. Then blood investigation, some of the blood tests or blood investigations are done to reveal the underlying cause for shock or effect of shock on the particular vital organ. So what are the blood tests commonly done? So blood tests are like commonly complete blood count. So complete blood count, that means hemoglobin level, WBC, RBC count, platelet count, which will help to reveal abnormality. Lactate prothrombin time for the bleeding and clotting time. Then activated partial thromboplastin time. This is also related to coagulation process and the bleeding tendencies. Next is a ABG analysis, arterial blood gas analysis, will reveal the pH value of the blood and whether there is a metabolic acidosis. Then fluid electrolyte level, mainly it is done for the patient, like whether there is a patient with hypovolemic shock or any other reason, like sodium, potassium, calcium, hydrogen bicarbonate, then blood urea nitrogen, creatinine, glucose level. This will help to reveal the increase in blood sugar level or decrease in BSL, that is blood sugar level. It will reveal the normal functioning of the kidney. So fluid and electrolyte level is checked. Then urine analysis for any infection, hematuria, consistency, output. So urine analysis is done. So these are the basic common investigation done for the patient with shock. Next we will see the management. So in management, first we are going to see different titles, or we can say how we can study any disease condition or here in the shock. First is the emergency management. We are going to study so how the patient is handled in emergency, how to receive the patient, how we can manage the patient, drug administration, oxygen therapy, ECG monitoring, all emergency management will come under this. Medical management, which is categorized under three category. Pharmacological management, which includes the drug administration, dietary management, diet for the patient, and therapeutic management, that means what are the therapeutic procedures done for the patient, surgical management if required for the patient, nursing management, and then rehabilitation and health education of patient. So what will be a goal of management while treating the patient with shock? So first, to identify the cause and type of shock for emergency care. So first we need to identify the cause. What is the cause, exact cause for the shock, and what is a type of shock? Like for example, hypovolemic shock. So we need to identify the type of shock. We need to find out the causes of shock, like whether it is a dehydration or bleeding. So first goal, to identify the cause and type of shock for emergency care. Second, first we need to establish the airway circulation and respiration. So we need to first check the airway, whether it is there is no obstruction or patent airway. Circulation also we can assess with the help of like blood pressure, then pulse rate. Respiration with the breathing pattern. Third one, to prevent and control further complication. So we don't want to go that patient go into further complication. To prevent and control further complication by prompt and emergency management on time. So there are the goal of management. Next we will see hypovolemic shock. So hypovolemic shock is first shock under the classification of shock. So what is hypovolemic shock? It is a emergency situation. We can say it is a emergency situation where there is a severe fluid loss or blood loss, which leads that inability of there will be non-functioning of the heart or inability of heart to pump the sufficient blood, so it will not reach to the tissue or organ. So it is an emergency situation where fluid loss will be there or blood loss will be there, where it interfere with the normal function of the heart. Then etiological factors for the hypovolemic shock. What happens when there is a hypovolemic shock? So hypovolemic, that means circulatory volume is decreased, blood circulation is decreased. So blood loss is a major cause for hypovolemic shock. And when we can say there is a blood loss, in which condition? Trauma. Patient is met with the accident, there is a trauma, injury, maybe surgical injury or maybe wound injury, or after the surgical procedure or after accident also. Then bleeding from cut, like when there is a cut of to the arteries and veins, bleeding from that. Internal bleeding, for example gastrointestinal tract bleeding, like hemorrhoids or GI bleeding, which is a chronic one. So blood loss is a major cause for hypovolemic shock. Second, diarrhea and vomiting. Patient is having severe vomiting and diarrhea leads to dehydration, so there will be fluid electrolyte deficit. Then excessive perspiration, like profuse sweating and chronic perspiration leads to dehydration. And then hypovolemic shock. Burns also one of the major cause for shock, like when there is a leakage of plasma from the skin, which lead to blood circulation towards to periphery, and then there is a decreased blood circulation to vital organ and patient go into shock. So these are the some of the etiological factors for hypovolemic shock. Then what are the phases of hypovolemic shock? Phases of hypovolemic shock, there are mainly three phases: early phase, immediate phase, and late phase. So what is early phase in hypovolemic shock? Patient may represent with tachycardia, that is increased heart rate more than 100 or 110 per minute. There may be normal blood pressure, profuse sweating. Patient may have a sweating, profuse sweating, excessive sweating, warm extremities. Patient may have a warm extremities. As we know, in severe condition there will be cold extremities, but here in early stage there will be warm extremities, as there is a adequate blood circulation. Patient will be restless and there will be anxiety. So these are the sign and symptom will represent in early phase. Then intermediate phase, where patient may have again tachycardia, there will be low blood pressure, patient will be pale as there is lack of blood circulation, cold extremity, that is because of again decreased blood circulation to the periphery, diaphoresis, that is excessive sweating, patient will be conscious, and there will be normal urine output as 30 to 40 ml per minute. So these will be some of the sign and symptom patient will represent with in intermediate phase, and we can identify and treat the patient. Next is a late phase. Okay, next is a late phase. In late phase there is a low blood pressure, patient will have a hypotension, suddenly there is a like tachycardia, hypertension, and suddenly patient the heart stops functioning normally, and then there will be low blood pressure, extremities become cold as there is a decreased blood circulation to the periphery, gray bluish discoloration of the skin, again there is a decreased oxygenated blood supply to the periphery, metabolic acidosis because of all disturbances into fluid electrolyte, rapid breath, decreased urine output, and patient may have a mental confusion. So here mainly there are early phase, immediate phase and late phase. So here early phase, immediate phase, and this is late phase. Next we'll see the management of hypovolemic shock, how we can manage hypovolemic shock. So first detect the cause and phase of the shock. First we need to detect the cause. What is the cause for the shock and what is the phase of shock? So accordingly we can treat the patient. So after the detection of the cause and identifying the phase of the shock, establish the airway and give oxygen by the mask or tracheostomy or endotracheal tube. Initially with the mask, or if it is not possible, then endotracheal tube intubation has to be done and provide the oxygen to the patient. Third, assessment of vital parameters, which is a key aspect of this assessment of blood pressure, pulse, respiration, and even temperature. Regularly or continuously it should be monitored. Then elevate the leg to encourage return of blood from the limb to the central circulation. So there is will be a adequate circulation to the heart and brain, and patient can maintain with the normal blood pressure. Then cardiopulmonary resuscitation if it is required, like we need to give the CPR to the patient. And how CPR is given as per the AHA, that is American Heart Association protocol, that 1 is to 15 ratio or 30 is to 2 ratio we need to monitor and give the CPR. Then intravenous fluid and then drug infusion. So intravenous fluid, like mainly it is given to like normal salineness or 5% dextro, depend on the patient's situation and blood sugar level. Then intravenous fluid, along with that drug infusion, mainly the vasopressors are given, for example like norepinephrine, epinephrine or dobutamine to increase the blood pressure and improve the cardiac output. And next is a like pain opioids. For the pain management, opioids are given so that patient will have a less pain and which will cause the less complications. Next is the pharmacological management for hypovolemic shock. Already we discussed analgesics are advised mainly to reduce the pain and tissue damage. Analgesics mainly for the pain basically. Then sodium bicarbonate will be advised by metabolic acidosis when there is a problem with the fluid electrolyte and metabolic acidosis, interference with the fluid electrolyte. Sodium bicarbonate is replaced to maintain the metabolic acidosis. Corticosteroids are given to decrease the peripheral resistance when there is a blood circulation and peripheral resistance is increased. To decrease that, corticosteroids are given, and it will help to improve the cardiac function and then tissue perfusion. So there will be adequate oxygen level and oxygenated blood to each cell because of corticosteroid. Vasopressors are advised to maintain the blood pressure again. Like for example, to maintain blood pressure, dobutamine or dopamine is given to maintain the normal blood pressure, increase cardiac output, maintain normal blood pressure and pulse rate with the vasopressor. Next, restoration of blood volume. Mainly when there is a hypovolemic shock, major concern is restoration of blood volume. Maybe whole blood is given to the patient if required, or crystalloid solutions are given, or colloid solutions are given to replace the normal fluid electrolyte, and the circulatory volume is increased. So heart will not have a load to circulate and compensate with the less amount of circulatory body fluid. Next is a cardiogenic shock. In cardiogenic shock, definition, it is defined like it is again a emergency situation or it is a life threatening situation in which the heart is suddenly stop pumping sufficient oxygen to the body. So when the heart is not functioning and not contracting normally, not relaxing normally, there is no normal cardiac output and there is no gas exchange, or pulmonary cardiopulmonary function will be disturbed. So body parts or organs or tissue will not get adequate oxygenated blood supply. Then etiological factor for the cardiogenic shock, mainly myocarditis, cardiomyopathy, congenital heart disease and dysarrhythmia. Myocarditis is inflammation of myocardium, which is a layer of heart. Cardiomyopathy also abnormality, muscular dysfunctioning of the heart muscles. Congenital heart disease, when the patient is having congenital heart defect, VSD, like ASD, VSD, atrioventricular defect, tetralogy of Fallot. So congenital problems of the heart. Dysarrhythmia is abnormal ECG. This leads to cardiogenic shock. So these are the some of the important causes for the cardiogenic shock. Next is management of shock. Again here same management, almost detect the cause and phase of the shock, then establish airway, oxygen therapy has to be established, circulation has to be maintained, monitoring of the patient, assessment of the vital signs, and elevate the legs to so that heart will not have a overload, and then there will be adequate blood circulation to the heart and the brain, CPR and IV fluid and drug infusion, as we have seen in a hypovolemic shock. Pharmacological management also almost same, analgesics, sodium bicarbonate, corticosteroids and vasopressors, which are the priority drugs given to treat the cardiogenic shock. Because whether it is a cardiogenic shock, hypovolemic shock or neurologic shock, the line of treatment will be almost same, because it is interfering with the blood circulation to the vital organs and even the periphery, and kidney function will be disturbed, liver function will be disturbed, function of the brain will be disturbed. Next is a neurogenic shock. Neurogenic, that is related to neurological system, and it is also life threatening situation or emergency situation where there is a loss of sympathetic tone and parasympathetic response. That means the whatever like responses or stimulation is passed through, it will be interfered with the sympathetic tone or vagus nerve, which is driven by it, the both the function parasympathetic response and then sympathetic tone will be interfere, or it will be lost, or it will be disturbed, which leads to neurologic shock, and it is a life threatening situation. What are the causes or etiological factor for the neurogenic shock? There will be spinal cord injury. Spinal cord injury due to accidental problem or accidents, or sports injury, and autoimmune response to the chronic neurological problem, and some side effect of the drugs. So spinal cord injury may be because of like road traffic accident or fall or industrial accident. There may be spinal cord injury, or lifting of the heavy things during the sport, like sports injury, and it can be a autoimmune response to the chronic problem of neurological system, which leads to neurogenic shock. So what is the management of shock, neurogenic shock? Again, detecting the cause of the neurogenic shock, identifying the phase of shock. So we need to have a line of treatment for this. Oxygen, assess the oxygen circulation, airway and supply